Okay guys, based on the last video that I did, it seems like a bunch of you apes still don't know what the word naked means. Naked means you're selling calls and puts. Selling calls and puts. The same thing that's allowing you to take advantage of these hedge funds on short squeezes is exactly what I was referring to in my last video. That last video kind of blew up a little bit in terms of how large my channel is, but it blew up with a lot of negative comments of people saying, no, you can buy calls and puts all day. Yeah, you can buy calls and puts all day. They are less risky investments. What I was saying in the video, which is literally the first 30 seconds of the video, is do not sell naked calls and puts if you don't understand the monumental losses you can have. Naked calls and puts, sell. You know what? I didn't put that word on the whiteboard. Let's do that. And let me explain to you what I'm talking about so that everybody's clear. I'm not saying don't buy calls and options. If you understand the risks associated with that, you can lose your principal that you bought it at. But it's pretty much your loss that you're limited to, right? Naked calls and puts, when you sell those, not when you sell them after you've held the call and the put, when you actually are the person that is writing the call and the put, that's actually selling them, you can lose all your shit, okay? So, lost my pen. And I think that's where people are getting confused. I think people are thinking, oh, well, I bought this call and put. If I wait till expiration date, I swear this pen is gonna make me mad. If I wait till expiration date and I call it, I sell it, I'm not on the hook for all that. And you're not. Yeah, you don't have to exercise those calls and puts. You don't have to actually buy all those shares. You don't have to. Now, financially, it makes sense if the stock is higher than the share price that you have the call for. Absolutely do that. It makes total sense. I mean, you're going to buy it, you can immediately just sell it right then and there. That's the whole point of them. That's the point of the option. The problem is when you go in there and you sell, and this is what I was referring to, this guy on Reddit had sold naked calls on AMC and GameStop. And so here's how it works. He comes in and he sells, I gotta put that up here because you guys were freaking out. Naked calls and puts. So he's the one that wrote it. He's the one you bought it from. So he's acting like the hedge fund guys. Now, he might not be acting like the hedge fund guys where he's shorting it. Shorting is a little different. And I put a video of this. Look at this woodpecker. Get that damn woodpecker off. What in the word? Or woodpecker is beating on my window. Anyways, guys, what he did is he wrote a call option, let's say for $200, and he sold it to one of you apes out there, okay? Here you go. This is gonna be, let's call this GameStop, okay? And he sent it to you, and you held on to it, okay? Now you've got the shares, okay? So he owes you those 100 shares, okay? Because we all know that one options contract is actually 100 shares, okay? But if he wrote this contract naked, and naked meaning he doesn't actually currently own the 100 shares, writing covered calls is a good way to make a good kind of income, a side income, right? Because you can own the 100 shares and you can basically write these covered calls, meaning I own 100 shares at GameStop. I can write a call option that is for, let's say, $500 or something like that. One of you apes think that this thing's gonna YOLO to 1,000. Maybe I'm a little hesitant on that. I say, okay, $500. I'm willing to. I would have sold it at $500 anyway. So who cares, right? So I sell it to you, and I get the difference if it ever goes to that price of what I bought it for. But if it doesn't go there and the option expires worthless, okay, meaning that the option expires and GameStop stock is only at $250, okay, then I get to keep your principal that you gave me. And that's where I was talking about before. Yeah, you're at your principal balance in your call or your option, call or your put or whatever you did. But if I wrote this call option and I did it for $250, I sold it to you, one of you apes, for $250, but I don't actually own the 100 shares yet. I never even bought them. right? I said, yeah, you know what? It's never gonna go there. You apes are crazy. It's never gonna happen. If that occurred, okay, I would be on the hook for buying 100 shares because I owe them to you. This is what I'm talking about. You bought the call or you bought the put, and in this case, you bought the call. Okay, you bought the $250. GameStop's at $250, and I had sold the call exercise price at $200. Meaning there's a $50 spread there that you're gonna make. Okay, but the problem is, here's the problem. I don't own any of these shares. That's what not being clothed is. This is clothed. Okay, hey, these are clothes. Yeah, he's got shorts on and stuff, or maybe it's a skirt, whatever, it don't matter. Okay, and he owns 100 shares. Woohoo! The margin account's gonna take the 100 shares, regardless of whether I bought them at $5 or $100 or $200, and he's gonna give it to you. And that's super simple, super easy. That's covered. That's what we like to call covered, because he's got the shares covered. He already owns the shares. See, they're covered, guys. Naked, this being the key word, naked, okay? Buying calls and puts don't make you naked, okay? It just makes you owning a call and a put, okay? It means you needing to exercise the call or put at the expiration date. Totally different thing. Selling naked, meaning you don't own any shares of GameStop, but you're selling call options to people like you, selling call options to apes, okay? That's what you're doing. And it's pretty much the opposite. When you're selling a call option, it's the same thing you're doing when it's kind of similar to what they're doing when you're selling short, right? They're selling the shorts, they got to pay those shorts back, right? And so as the price goes up and you're selling a call option, all of a sudden GameStop could go from $200. I could sell you the call option with a strike price of $200, meaning at $200, you're in the money, let's say, all right? But if I don't own any of those shares, and let's say GameStop, by the time the week or 2 weeks or whatever month it is I set it up for, let's say GameStop goes up to $300. Holy crap, I'm holies, right? I'm on the hook for one contract at $300. I have to buy I have to buy shares right now to give them to you because I owe them to you because I wrote the contract at 100, which is $30,000. Okay, and my dire warning to you guys, the reason that video was created, which I'll show you that what I'm talking about, this kid, the reason what's prompted it is the risk this kid did. What this kid did, he sold 10 of those. He sold 10 naked to you guys. I mean, it sucks to be him. What I'm trying to say is, and I'm not saying, you know what, he's betting against you, he's not betting against y'all, he's not into it for the short squeeze. I'm not trying to make that argument. I don't really care. What I do care about is you selling 10 naked calls, or even just one. See the impact of one? If you don't own those shares and you sell a naked call, let's say something like GameStop, and it spikes up, then GameStop go to 1,000. You change that number to 100 grand. That 30,000 changes to $100,000. Like that, okay? Dude sold 10 of these. Times this by 10, $300,000. That will financially destroy you, and that's more of what I was trying to get at, okay? Until you understand that risk, okay, and you know, okay, I'm really screwed here if this goes south, right, guys? Until you know that, you need to understand the risk of selling calls and puts naked, where you don't own the underlying shares currently when you sell them. I'm not talking about selling them after you've bought the call and the put. That's a totally different thing. I'm not saying, hey, I bought the call and the put, I'm selling that call and the put at the expiration date. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that are actually writing the calls and puts, the call and put that you bought. Okay, I understand buying and selling calls and puts. You can make a premium, you can make a profit, you can buy it on Monday. GameStop short squeezes, and you can sell it on Wednesday, and you get the premium, you get the discount, you get the difference right there in the premium, right? That is totally not what I was talking about in the original video. I was literally just talking about writing and selling calls and puts that you wrote, selling calls and puts that you physically wrote to the marketplace, right? Robinhood makes it super easy to do this, and on these types of stocks, especially these short squeeze stocks, you've got your you got your AMC, you got your GameStops. There's massive expectations for these things to explode. They kind of coil up and pow, okay? So You don't want to do it on those types of stuff. Don't write calls and put options on those stocks that can have the potential to explode like this and leave you hanging unless you understand the full risks associated with selling and writing those naked calls and puts. Once again, I want to make it perfectly clear. I think that was the confusion in my last video when I said, do not sell naked calls and puts. If you own the call and the put, if you own it, you bought it from somebody, it's not naked to you. It's not naked. You could sell it. You can sell those all day. You only are out your premium. And those types of transactions occur all the time. You're trading between it. It's the originator, the writer of the call, the writer of the put. That's, I guess maybe I wasn't exactly clear on that. Maybe I should have said, instead of saying don't sell naked, I assumed most people know what naked actually means. It means you were the writer of the call or the put, okay? And you didn't have the shares to back them up. You were saying basically, oh, I've got the money to buy them and whatever happens, well, $300,000 can happen. And I want to make it clear, don't get greedy. Don't be like that guy from Reddit. Do not write naked calls and puts if you don't understand the massive monumental risk that can happen, and you can lose mostly everything that you have. If you don't have 300,000 in cash or assets, you could lose 300,000 in cash and assets like that with a move like GameStop would make, right? If it goes to 1,000, you make that $1 million. GameStop goes to 1,000, boom, that's $1 million problem. That's $1 million issue. And if you have 0 shares of GameStop and you wrote the naked call, you wrote it, okay, you didn't sell it on the marketplace, sell one that you already bought. You didn't sell a call that you already own a call on, right? This is writing and selling the call naked, or writing and selling the put naked. You have monumental and infinite risk. The most risky thing you can do in the options world is selling a naked call, okay? Puts have a limit. It can go all the way to 0. It is what it is, right? But naked calls have infinite risk. Infinite. There's no number that it has to stop at. GameStop could go to 1,000, 5,000. Now you got if that goes to 5,000, you got a $5 million problem. Okay, 10,000. It's infinite. It could go anywhere. Now, does GameStop got to go to that? Who knows? I'm just saying you don't. So don't fucking do it. God. I apologize if that got misunderstood in my last video. I know I got a lot of comments on it in terms of my size of channel. I mean, I got like 2,500 views on it, a lot of negative thumbs down, a lot of bad comments of people saying, you could sell calls, you could sell them. I don't think people were understanding, and maybe that's mostly my fault. I was probably not as clear what I meant when I said selling naked calls. I thought most people know what naked meant. I guess they didn't. Now, hopefully that's a lot clearer on what selling naked calls is, selling naked puts is. It's when you're actually writing them. You're actually physically wrote the call, the call that's floating around here that everybody's buying and selling on at the end of expiration date. If you wrote it, you owe it. Now, if you just have it, if you own it, if you're the one that bought it from Tweedledee over here, if you're the one that bought it from this guy, yeah, you don't have to exercise that. You don't have to pay for those shares. You don't have to do that. Okay? You can't. You have the option to. That's why it's called an option. You have the option to buy them if you want to, right? Or you have the option to sell them to somebody that wants to buy them, but you don't have to. But this guy has no option. He has to give the shares to whoever owns the option at the end. That's who. Okay? That's who gets screwed. If the shares go up. If they don't go up, if this only goes to $200, he gets to keep your premium. That's the risk he was taking, right? I think it was a $9,000 initial premium that he got on those 1,000 shares of GameStop. And man, he said that now he's up. It's up significantly, right? Obviously it is. And so I think he's going to be out somewhere around $200,000 to $300,000 in what he did. And yeah, he had no clue what was actually going to happen. He either tried to get cute, he thought he could just make quick money. Usually that's not the way things go. So with that, guys, I hope that made it a lot clearer. I was not trying to create FUD. I was trying to actually save you guys from doing some disastrous financial situation that you can't get yourself out of. I was just trying to help you guys out. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the feedback, guys. Anyways, even whether you thumbs up or you thumbs downed it, it really helped me understand that maybe I need to be a little more clear on making these videos. I'm really genuinely just trying to make these videos to help you guys out financially, and so you guys understand what you're doing in the marketplace and just give you a little bit extra knowledge. Knowledge never hurt, and it's something you need to keep forever. So I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot for the feedback, and hopefully this makes everything a lot clearer.